Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're doing something pretty focused. We're looking at just one source, a single film review.
From 2012, yeah, for a film called The Raid.
Exactly. And our mission really is to use this review to kind of unpack how a film can actually break through. Because, I mean, the market back then, the review mentioned something like 12 new films hitting cinemas every week.
12 a week? Well, it's an incredibly crowded market. Still is, of course.
Right. So if you don't have a massive studio or a huge star name or maybe some existing IP, how do you possibly cut through all that noise?
That really is the million-dollar question in the industry, isn't it? And The Raid, this martial arts film from 2012, somehow managed it. So our goal here isn't just to talk about the review itself. It's to pull out the specific things the reviewer flagged that made this, seemingly small foreign film an instant global hit. And crucially, what made the reviewer call it a potential new source of action films.
Okay, so it's a deep dive into, like, successful disruption using just this one lens.
Yeah.
Let's get into it. How did a film with no big global star attached manage to generate such immediate, compelling buzz? It must have started with a pretty unique story behind it, right?
Oh, absolutely. The reviewer actually points out that the film arrived with a built-in publicity hook ready assembled. It was such an unusual combination of elements that the press almost had to cover it, which sort of bypassed the need for huge marketing spend initially.
A built-in hook. Okay, so what were those key ingredients? What was the unusual mix?
Well, the reviewer breaks it down into 4 main points. First, just the basic fact. It's an indigenous martial arts film, and it was made in Indonesia.
Okay, that's specific.
Second, the martial art itself wasn't, the usual kung fu or karate we often see. It was silat.
Silat, right.
Third, the star, Iko Uwais, was completely new, a young actor nobody really knew outside of maybe Indonesia.
An unknown lead.
And fourth, and this is maybe the kicker that tied it all together for the media narrative, it was written and directed by a Welshman, Gareth Evans.
Wow. Okay, a Welsh director doing an Indonesian silent film starring a local unknown. Yeah, you can see how journalists would latch onto that. It's definitely a unique angle.
Exactly.
But let's pause on Silat for a second. For listeners who might not be familiar, what makes Silat distinctive enough for the reviewer to really highlight it?
That's a great question because it's key to the film's feel. Silat isn't one single style. It's more of an umbrella term for martial arts across Indonesia and Malaysia.
Well,
cinematically, though, it looks really different. It's known for explosive speed, a lot of close-quarter fighting, joint locks, and often uses small blades or sticks. It feels very grounded, very fast, maybe less flowery than some other screen martial arts. Brutal, even.
so it had a raw, maybe more realistic edge compared to the polished Hong Kong action maybe audiences were used to?
Precisely. That unique flavor, combined with the unexpected Welsh director, immediately set it apart. It wasn't just another action film.
Gotcha. So that originality, that specific cultural blend, that was the hook. It didn't need a big name because the concept itself was the star.
Yeah, it was exotic enough to be interesting, but maybe Evans's involvement made it feel accessible. A cultural crossover story.
Okay, so the hook gets people interested. Now let's look at the plot itself, because the premise sounds just as stripped down and intense as the fighting style. The review mentions the setup immediately grounds us emotionally. We meet the main character, Rama, that's Iko Uwais, who's a rookie cop. And he's leaving his pregnant wife to go on this incredibly dangerous mission. So right away, you've got personal stakes.
Yeah, establishes that vulnerability early on. And connecting that to the setting is just brilliantly functional for the story. The mission target is this specific rundown tower block in Jakarta. The review calls it formerly derelict, now a no-go area for the police.
So basically a fortress.
Pretty much. It's run by a local crime lord who offers sanctuary to other criminals inside, for a price, obviously. So they're effectively untouchable by local law enforcement once they're in there.
Right. And the police plan, led by this character Jaka, played by Joe Taslim, who the review notes is also good, was meant to be stealthy. Go in quiet, clear it floor by floor. Simple idea.
Simple idea, yeah. But it goes completely sideways when they hit the 6th floor. They're ambushed.
And it's not just that the plan fails, is it? It's the crime lord's response that really cranks things up.
Yeah.
This is where it gets wild.
Oh, absolutely wild. And this is maybe one of the most memorable plot points. The crime lord doesn't just tell his men to fight back. He gets on the building's intercom system and puts out a broadcast to all the residents, many of whom are just desperate people, criminals, addicts. And he offers them a deal. hunt down and kill the trapped police officers.
Oh, wow.
And you get rent-free residence in the tower block for life.
Rent-free for life. So he basically turns the entire building into a hunting ground by weaponizing poverty and desperation.
Exactly. It's an incredible escalation. It shifts the whole dynamic from a police raid gone wrong to this desperate, almost zombie apocalypse-like survival scenario.
The cops become prey, hunted by literally everyone inside.
Yeah. And our hero, Rama, gets separated from the main group. He's trapped deep inside enemy territory. So his choice becomes stark. Try to fight his way back down through potentially hundreds of residents.
Or go up, towards the top floor, to confront the crime lord himself and his main enforcers, Tama, and this guy called Mad Dog.
Mad Dog, will definitely come back to him.
Okay, so that intense structure, that high concept, needs equally intense execution. Which brings us to the talent involved, particularly the lead. The review makes a really big point about Iko Uwais, who plays Rama, saying he's something quite rare, that he's not just a superb fighter, but also a very good actor.
Yeah, and that's a crucial distinction, especially in martial arts films back then. Often, you'd get one or the other. You'd get a fantastic martial artist who maybe couldn't carry the dramatic scenes, or a decent actor who needed lots of editing and doubles for the action.
That's right. Quick cuts, shaky cam to hide things.
Exactly. So the review notes that getting the whole package in Uwais, someone who could deliver both physically and emotionally, was a huge advantage for the film.
And his role was even bigger than just performing, wasn't it? The review mentions he was also the action coordinator.
That's right. He doubled up. Star and action coordinator. He worked with the director, Evans, on choreographing the fight sequences.
Wow. So he's basically designing the fights he's performing in.
Yeah, and that dual role might be the secret sauce for why the fights felt so good. The review describes them as beautifully and imaginably arranged, incredibly fast, really energetic. Because Uwais knew Silet intimately, he knew his own capabilities, and the other performers, he could tailor it perfectly.
And they used the setting, too.
Oh, definitely. The review praises how they used that rundown tower block. Lots of variation in fight props and locations.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just fighting in empty corridors. They used walls, doorways, furniture, debris. It kept every encounter feeling fresh and, frankly, brutal.
That makes sense. And it ties into something else. The review highlighted this idea of a collective approach. It wasn't just about making the star, Uwais, look good, even though he was also choreographing.
That's a really important point the reviewer makes. The supporting cast, and especially the villains, their fights were also handled with great attention to detail. It means everyone looked competent, everyone looked dangerous. It wasn't just Rama easily dispatching waves of useless bad guys. Every fight felt earned.
And speaking of supporting standouts, Joe Taslim, as the team leader Jaka, is mentioned as being no slouch when it comes to action either.
Definitely holds its own.
But the real scene stealer seems to have been the villain, Mad Dog, played by Jan Rehian.
Ah, Mad Dog, yes.
He gets incredibly high praise in the review, possibly a testament to that collective approach you mentioned. The reviewer calls him as good a fighter, if not slightly better than Iko, which is saying something.
Better than the star. Wow.
Yeah, and that his fight sequences are a pleasure to watch. Having an antagonist that skilled, that threatening, just raises the stakes for Rama immensely.
So the quality wasn't just focused on the hero, it extended right through to the main villain. Made those final confrontations mean something.
Absolutely. It felt like a genuine clash of titans. Okay, so we had this unique cultural mix, a high-stakes plot, incredible fight choreography, featuring actors who can actually perform it. How does the direction tie this all together? Let's talk about Gareth Evans, the writer-director, only his second feature film, which is kind of mind-blowing.
It really is, and his approach, according to the review, was notable for its restraint. It calls his style not particularly showy. His main goal, it seems, was to simply document the action happening in front of the camera.
Document it. What does that mean in practice? Because, like we said, the early 2010s,
Yeah.
that was peak shaky cam, fast-cutting action, right? Like the later-born films.
Right, and this was pretty much the opposite. Evans often used wider shots, longer takes. You could actually see the choreography playing out. Sometimes an entire exchange would happen without a cut. You could appreciate the skill, the speed, the complexity of the movements.
So he trusted the performers and the choreography to provide the excitement, rather than manufacturing it with camera tricks and editing.
Exactly that. It showed, I think, incredible confidence in what his actors and his fight team were doing. Clarity over flashiness.
That feels admirable, especially for a director on only his second film. You'd think the temptation would be huge to put your directorial stamp all over it with fancy moves.
For sure. There must have been that temptation to make his mark, as the review puts it, but he resisted. He let the action speak for itself, prioritizing the energy and the sheer kinetic impact of the Zealot.
So the audience never felt lost or cheated by the editing. They just got the full force of the action.
That seems to be the takeaway, yeah. Maximum impact through clarity.
Okay, so pulling this all together for our listener,
Mm-hmm.
what's the blueprint here? What made the raid succeed against the odds, according to this review?
Well, it seems to be a potent combination. First, that unique cultural blend, the Welsh director, Indonesian setting, Silat martial arts that created natural media buzz.
You built in a hook.
Right. Second, a really tight, high-concept premise, simple setup, extreme stakes, relentless pace within that confined location.
Lean and mean.
Mm-hmm. Third, that rare lead actor, Iko Uwais, who delivered both top-tier martial arts and solid acting, and who also shaped the action itself.
A multi-talented star.
And finally, a director who had the discipline to step back and just capture that raw talent and energy cleanly without getting in the way.
Unselfish direction. It's quite a formula when you lay it out like that.
It really is. And the reviewer's final verdict reflected that. The film was called interesting and engaging, highly recommended. But more than just a good movie, the excitement was about what it represented. That phrase again. A new and hopefully plentiful source of action films.
A new source? That's big praise.
Huge. And they were clearly confident, noting that a sequel was actually already confirmed when the review came out. They knew it was going to be a hit.
Which it absolutely was. So it proved that, yeah, originality, technical craft, maybe a unique cultural perspective that could compete with established stars and formulas.
Definitely seemed to signal a potential shift, or at least a new possibility in the action genre.
Which leads us to a final thought for you, the listener, to maybe chew on. Given how enthusiastic the reviewer was about finding this new source of action films, does the success formula of the raid suggest something? Does this specific combination an indigenous martial art, like Silat, a non-Hollywood setting, and that documentary style focused on choreography, does it change the template?
Yeah. Does it mean that maybe going forward, the style of fighting, the skill of the performers, the way it's filmed, does that become more important in defining a global action star than, say, their previous box office track record?
Something to think about. We'll leave you with that.